Okay, we're leaving the staging area. It is almost 11 o'clock, so we're running a little bit late. And we're going to head down and see if we can find the trail. So this is a paved road that goes up to an old Air Force building behind us. It's what we call the pillbox. May stop off there at the end of the trip depending on how much time we have. This is going to take us down to Highway 395, and we're going to cross 395 and try to pick up the trailhead, which is about 2/10 of a mile according to the GPS. So we're coming up to Highway 395. This is about 8 miles north of Kramer Junction, better known as Four Corners. We're going to cross here, and then hopefully we're pretty close to finding the trailhead. So I'm going to jump into this little sand wash and head up into the hills. So far, pretty boring ride. Double wide road and big semi-wide road here. But it should get more intriguing when we get up into the canyons. Just gonna make sure Rich sees me so that he doesn't make the wrong turn back there. There's a couple options which way to go. We're gonna head this way, and I think we're actually headed towards this little area where I think it was a B-1 bomber crashed out here quite a long time ago, but usually at those crash sites they have some kind of plaque or a flag or something memorializing the site. So I missed the turn. Actually, this is the road we should have been on. It's a little bit wider than a single track, but this would be a lot more fun on my KTM. I'm just going to putt through here because I believe still somewhere in this area is where the bomber crash is. Got some whoops here, so get my ass out of the seat a little bit to avoid being bounced off the bike. These would be a lot easier at a faster speed. The other problem is I'm not riding my normal quad, I'm riding my spare quad, which usually is set up for guests to ride. And somewhere along the way the battery connection to the GPS isn't attached, so I'm running the GPS on batteries, and you hit a couple of these bumps too hard and you lose the connection. You have to stop and open the battery compartment and close it and reset the GPS, and it's kind of a pain. So I'm trying not to hit anything too hard. But it does seem to be pointing us in this direction, so hopefully we're doing okay. And I missed that turn. And I'm watching the road instead of the GPS. So, back on a big wide road, so I'll shut the camera off for now. Okay, so I think I'm on the road to the crash site. Made a right turn off that main road. So I think it's around here. Here it is right here. Flag and some stones for a monument, but I don't really see a plaque. Sometimes, yeah, there is a plastic piece of paper in there that usually you can read about what happened. So we'll see. We'll see. Here, I'll look over your shoulder so I can see it on the camera while you read it.
Okay. North American Rockwell B-1A crash site in memory of Tommy D. Doug Benefield, North American Rockwell chief test pilot who lost his life in the pursuit of aviation August 29, 1984. The last thing he said was, let's crash near a fucking road so Barry and Rich can come out and take a look.
So we left the B-1 bomber site. Now we're sort of headed on this whooped out trail. Hopefully up into those foothills there. We'll get to Bird Canyon and Inscription Canyon. And then the Husky Memorial, which is, we'll be on the way back. We'll stop somewhere for lunch. Brought some Subway sandwiches. Okay, here we are lost again. Trying to follow the arrow and get back to something that resembles a trail. It's one of the differences out here. When you get east of 395, there aren't a lot of trails. Whereas when you're west of 395, more towards Cal City, you don't go more than 2 or 3 minutes without crossing another trail. So, I think we have found it. Maybe not. GPS doesn't like it, so we'll keep hunting. Once again, I think we are back on the right route, but I wouldn't guarantee it. GPS seems to be pointing in the same direction that we're traveling, which is always a good sign.
Well, once again, the GPS has swung around 180 degrees, so we're going to turn around here and see if we can figure out where we missed the turn. Well, it seems like we have found the entrance to Black Canyon, so we're going to travel down this sand wash and see if we can avoid the boulders and eventually figure out where to make a left turn and head towards the Husky.
Sure Rich was coming. Looks like he is.
So ever since this trip, I've actually come back to Black Canyon several times, usually staging over by Calico in that area. It's a lot shorter than the route we took today. You come down Black Canyon, you'll actually see a lot of trails that head off to the right into the mountains, and there's some really cool trails there. And there's a really cool old miner's cabin. It's actually sort of a cave that's actually built into the mountain. So if you're in this area, be sure to take a look at that. I should have some pictures in my photo album.
I figure I'm going to let Rich run a little bit so I can video him.
coming up to the area of Black Canyon, you can see this rock on the left is there's a petroglyph on it, and up on the canyon walls you'll also see some. We came across some jeepers here that were taking a look. Inscription Canyon is further down the Black Canyon towards the end, and you turn right, and there's a whole canyon full of them, and we won't be traveling there today, but another good thing to check out if you come this way.
I'm just going to have to take it easy here, because once I get going, fortunately my GPS shuts off, which it just did. We've never been here before, so we want to...
So we're continuing down Black Canyon. It's sort of turning from a sand wash to more of a double wide trail. Still looking for that left turn that'll take us over towards the Husky. So we'll go a little further north and we'll see what happens, and then figure out what to do at that point. So never really saw the left turn, so I turned around and just looked for anything that might be going over the mountain, and found a little single track that took us up over the initial ridge, and I turned the GPS back on and it's pointing us in the right direction, so I'm sort of hoping this is the right way to go. So this is where we stopped for lunch. So we finished our Subway sandwiches. Gonna head back, see if we can find that little single track and continue our trek towards the Husky. So that location right there was only really about 20 yards off the single track trail, and of course I can't find it again. So we actually spent about 10 minutes driving around here before we actually found the trail and got back on our way. So when this little trail dropped out onto the main road, which I was familiar with, that I knew making a left turn would get us right to the Husky, I actually unfortunately found out that it's a closed trail. At least it's closed in the opposite direction that we were coming from, so felt a little bit bad, but there were no closed signs that I saw, so sometimes that happens out here. So we're going to hang left here, and we should be at the Husky in a few minutes.
Husky Memorial.
So every time I come back to the Husky Memorial, there's more and more plaques here, which I guess is unfortunate since they're memorializing riders who have passed away. It's a little sad. Several of them are youth riders, some under 10 years old even. But it is sort of cool that they will be here hopefully forever, and lots of people will come out here and visit the memorial and see their name, and a lot of friends and family come out here too. You can actually access this site on a dirt road with probably even a two-wheel drive vehicle from Highway 395. So. Nice area. We're going to look around a little bit, take a short break, and then head down Bird Springs and make our way back to the truck. So this is the trail that leads into Bird Spring Canyon. It's a really nice canyon. It usually has a little bit of water in it. It's got some high cliffs on usually the left side going in this direction. There's also some nice cliffs on the right. Eventually drops out into a big sand wash that'll take you back towards Highway 395. You can also head back on dirt roads that I mentioned earlier that are good enough for two-wheel drive cars. Or you can take several different trails that head you over to Fremont Peak. Those are some of those are pretty nasty, usually for advanced riders, and probably a little better off to do it on a motorcycle versus a quad. But usually I go back this way, and especially when I'm taking new people, because it is a little scenic. So we're going to drop down across the stream here. This is the only hard part. There's a hard part on the way out as well. This is just a little bit of a drop, and then you can see that off-camber section right here. Took a noob rider up here once and got about here, and the guy hit the throttle and ran right into that big boulder straight ahead, flipped the quad, and ended up on top of him. And he was okay, just a little shook up. So we'll stop here. We'll wait and make sure that that Rich gets through this section okay. And then we'll continue down through Bird Spring and jump into that sand wash. So we're coming up to that sort of steep, little nasty section that you have to climb out of here. And I was paying so much attention to the GPS, I wasn't watching where I was going, and took the absolute wrong angle. Got myself sort of wedged in there, couldn't go forward or backward. And then after a little bit of being stuck here, we actually decided, in talking to Rich, he wasn't real comfortable with this. We decided to go ahead and go around this section by climbing up the hill there that you're seeing right now. And so I went up here, followed the Jeep tracks, looked pretty good until I got to the top, and then it seemed like there was like no downside, so I let off the gas, and as you can see, I rolled the quad backwards probably 50 yards, and luckily I kept it straight, was able to recover. I actually got out and walked up there and looked down the other side, and you can see here it's perfectly flat and super easy getting down this side. So a little embarrassing, but nothing unusual for me in the desert. So I turned around here just to make sure Rich got up and over okay, and obviously he did. So we made our way. The sand wash is only maybe half a mile from here. Simple trail, and jumped in the big deep sand wash. And I had fixed the GPS that while we were at the Husky, I removed the seat and found the broken wire and fixed it. So it's been operating 100% of the time now, and it's pointing us back across the desert to Highway 395, and shortly after that we'll be at the truck, and we'll call this a day. So I videoed this section so I could prove to my buddy Pete that there is actually still some single track left out in the desert. You just have to hunt for it. Just amazes me every time we come across these piles of junk areas that unfortunately, are out here more than I'd like to say. But people go a long way out of their way to drop their junk. But they are scattered throughout the desert, and not really sure why people can't just take their junk to the junkyard. So it's always a good thing when you can see those telephone poles stretching along Highway 395. At least you know you're almost back to civilization. Once we cross the highway here, we'll be back on that paved road that heads towards that old Air Force facility that we call the pillbox. And we had a rough day out there today with getting lost so long, and it's already getting dark. So we're not going to go visit the pillbox. I'll show it to you folks on a different trip, maybe coming from Cal City. But overall, wouldn't rate this very high as a trip. Certainly wasn't much to see the B-1 bomber. Been to Black Canyon. There's lots more enjoyable ways to see that, and there's certainly better ways to get to the Husky. So I think anybody watching this, I'd recommend skipping following the tracks associated with this trip, although I did post them up on the page. Thanks a lot.